Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Joni Misiak. Today, let's talk about that scale. Now, if that word alone scares you, please listen. I had a love-hate relationship with that crappy old scale. Okay, it's not crappy and old anymore because I've upgraded. But anyways, I have had a crappy relationship with the scale. Huge. Growing up, we didn't have a scale because my mom didn't want a scale in the house to know how much she weighed. And I definitely don't want that for my children. I encourage them to know it's just a number. Anyways, we'll get into that. So if you have a love-hate relationship or just a plain old hate relationship with that scale, you're not alone. I had one too. And in fact, I actually had one where I was like, I'm not even going to look at it. I've listened to people where they're like, just get rid of the scale, throw it to the garbage, like throw it out, put it at the garbage, put it at the curb. And that's not wrong, but I've learned a lot about the scale. Here's the thing. I wear yoga pants. I wear comfy pants half the time because if I'm sitting here and recording or if I'm hiking or heck man, most of my activities, I'm moving, I'm doing yoga, rebounding on my little trampoline here in my office. I want to be comfy. And I sometimes try to do it in jeans. I have jeans with holes in the knees and I'm sitting down. I'm like, I sit like crisscross on my chair when I'm working. Probably not the best, but I do. I get all cozy and comfy. And that does not feel cozy and comfy. And anyways, so I'm wearing pants that are stretchy. Now, sometimes I can feel when I'm bloated. And I can look in the mirror, but to be honest, I have rose-colored glasses. So when I am walking around, honestly, in my mind, I feel like I'm probably like 100 pounds lighter. I don't feel a certain weight. Like my scale, like maybe that's why the scale, and I had a hard time. Anyways, I feel good most of the time. Now, when I was feeling joint pain and stuff, that's a whole different story. But most of the time, I feel young, I feel flexible, and I feel light. But then somebody will take a picture of me and send it to me and be like, here's a picture of you. I'm like, ooh, like I look like that? Or I might look in the wrong mirror, wrong angle, something like that. I'm like, ooh. Now, it's because in my mind, I am perfect. I'm exactly where I want to be. And that's awesome, right? And at the same time, I want to be healthy. So I use the scale now as a tool. That's it. That's all it is. I even stepped on the scale today. I just check in once a week. That's all I do. And it's just a gauge, especially as I'm healing my gut from candida. It's just to see, because the candida overgrowth in my gut really prevented me, and actually I was always constantly gaining weight, even though I was eating well. So it's just to make sure that things are going down, that I'm not going back up. Anyways, so I use it as a tool. And I know that it fluctuates. But before I even go on there, I go, it's just a number. It's a tool to let me know where I am. That's it. And when I said like an old scale, like I got one that now has an app and it's attached to my phone. So then I don't have to document it. It's all just there for looking down the line. It's just it's like when you do, spreadsheets for finances, they're just numbers. And to me, that's all it is now, because I gained over 20 pounds, probably 25, 30 without even realizing it. What? I felt yuckier. I felt bloatier. Things weren't fitting as well. And I just had a hard time with clothes a little bit. But those same yoga pants still fit. They just felt a little crappier. Bending over felt a little crappier. So I did feel a little yuckier, but I didn't realize. So it's just a nice gauge to be like, whoa, like something's going on. And that's all it is. It's a number. And when I made peace with that, I could feel better, because I want to be healthy. Right? So it's just part of a number. Now, overall feel of body and things like that, there's so much you can use. But that scale, like I absolutely hated it forever. And I didn't step on it for years, like a couple years there, just sitting in my closet. It was an older one. Like I said, I upgraded. But it was an older one sitting in my closet, just chilling. And I wasn't even aware of what was going on. I was just eating, having a good time. That was when I was, sugar was still a part of my life. But anyway, so yeah, I just use it as a tool now. I hope that makes sense. And it's just being mindful of what's going on. Like I said, though, it fluctuates. Like, we got periods going on. We got, things, life is happening. A lot of what's going on too is, especially with my healing journey of my gut, I hold water retention. So it's just being mindful of that. But usually now I'm like, I can feel if I'm going up or down. But sometimes I don't. I'm like, oh, that number doesn't reflect how I'm feeling right now. But again, it's just a number. So when you start seeing your scale as a tool, that's it, a tool. It's a number. The more empowering it is. And it's not so much about getting somewhere, but like for me, it was eye-opening. I reached over 200 pounds. Oh, right. Yeah. So I think it was more like, I said 25. I think it was like 30, 35. I forgot. I went over 200. That was a huge eye-opening moment for me. I stepped on that scale. I don't even know how heavy I got because I didn't step on that scale for a while until I cleaned up my act. I knew I wasn't going to like that number. And I wasn't prepared to stand on that scale until I felt a little bit better mentally to prepare myself. So don't use the scale if you're going to beat yourself up. If you're going to use it as a way to punish yourself, then I don't recommend you owning a scale or like put it away for now. It's about changing your perspective of what that number represents. And to me, as like, it kind of is like it's going up and down again. So for me, as I'm healing my gut, I'll be having a conversation with my naturopath. Be like, what is going on? Like, am I not healing my gut anymore? Things like it's a tool. And it's just meant to be that, a tool. And I was actually reading a really interesting article where doctors now there is a doctor that doesn't weigh their patients unless they want to, because there's this shame of weight. And I completely understand where they're coming from, because I've stepped on a scale in the doctor's office. I've had really crappy doctors where I was going in and I was gaining weight left, right, and center. And I'm like, what is going wrong? Like, what is happening? This was way back when I was in my 20s still. And I was like, what is going on? My husband's at the time we were just dating. He's like, go see a doctor. Like, maybe it's your thyroid. So the doctor ran tests and things like that. And he's just like, it's calories in versus calories out kind of thing. And at the time I was teaching fitness classes probably 3 or 4 times a week. And I was like, yes, I know this. Like, as much as yes and no, I'm actually on the other, like, yes, if you eat like crazy amounts of calories. Anyways, but it's what you put into your body. That's even more important in my opinion. Anyway, I'm not going down that rabbit hole today, guys. Okay. So I tried to like figure it out, right? Because that's where we sat. But like, I've had moments at doctor's offices where they can make you feel shameful of your body. And so I don't want you there. If you're there, it's figuring out what do you have around this number. Because you want to know something fun? People can be super thin on the outside, but their insides aren't so healthy. My dad would joke. He's like, we're lucky. Our bodies gain the weight. So at least then we have to work. Like we focus more on being healthy so we don't get so big. Paraphrasing, it's not exactly like that, but anyways, it was those moments. But just because somebody's thin doesn't mean they're healthy. Huge thing. So it's just, anyways, weight can be such a hard thing. And if that's where you're sitting right now, where you don't like the number on the scale, it's figuring out why. And then think of ways that you can just feel better. Like, and don't let that number run your life. Because I know for a long time, I still can get caught up in those numbers sometimes. Then I have to remind myself, it's a tool. I just want to feel better. So, and especially now with healing my gut as being number one focus, the scale has come down. But for me, I've been focusing more on my symptoms from the candida overgrowth. So it's like, I feel better because, the joint pain's going away, the fatigue's going away, the brain fog's going away, and just so much more things are going away. So I focus more on feeling good about it, about life. And then that scale it usually reflects. Like, so if I'm eating well, I'm sleeping well, I'm really it's stress. I'm reducing my stress, or I'm managing my stress better. It reflects in that number usually as well. And if I'm not, it's like, okay, I need to adjust. Because here's the fun thing, like with the doctor saying, calories in, calories out. That's like maybe a smidgen of what's happening. But a lot of the time it's stress and sleep. And then like our sugar intakes, right? It's the 3 S's. So I've talked about a little bit about sugar and different things, or I will be. And so I'm not going to get into that too much. But know that that number on the scale does not reflect who you are as a person. It doesn't make you less than, or it doesn't mean that you're not worthy of something now, because you are worthy right now. You're worthy of whatever you want your life to be. It's just the number of how, heavy your body is at this moment. It doesn't mean it needs to stay there. But it also doesn't, so it's not being like, oh, it's a number and then you don't do anything about it. If you want to do something, great. If you don't, that's okay too. But it's loving yourself regardless of what that number on that scale says. And I know that can be so hard. Like I said, I've had my own journey. I was dieting probably in probably 12, 13. I've had my own body image problems for a long time. And then that number on the scale, hanging over my head, it's like whatever that number is going to be like, am I going to have a good day or a bad day? Right? And it's like that number cannot dictate how you live your life, how you dictate your day, how you treat yourself. And actually, I find sometimes that when I'm doing really well, eating well, I can self-sabotage too. So there's lots of layers. But it's first making peace with that scale. Well, not first. You can do lots of different things in different orders. But today we're talking about making peace with the scale. And it's figuring out where in your life did you learn that scale, that number is bad. And it could just be as easy as society. Society's pretty good at making us think that we have to be a certain number. So it's figuring out where you learn that, why you believe that, and what do you choose to believe? And how do you want to look at that number? And how do you want to use that number? It's not about beating yourself up. It's not about oh, I'm up on the scale. My number's up today. I guess I'm just going to starve myself. That's not a lovely way to live life, right? It's looking at how can I live a more healthy lifestyle? And again, sleep, getting 7 to 8. I know I need about 9. So it's figuring out where I think they recommend 7 to 9 hours roughly. It depends on who you are. It's figuring out where your sweet spot is. Eliminating or at least reducing added sugars. And if you can, even other sugars if you're eating a lot of fruit. And reducing your stress, or at least stress management. So yoga, meditation, getting outside in nature, going for a hike, being social, hanging out with friends that you love to talk to. I'm not talking about the ones that stress you out, but I'm talking about the ones that you have a great time with. It's doing things for you. I hope this has helped. I kind of went a little sideways here, a little sideways there. But in the end, it's really about using that scale just as a number, a tool to let you know where you're at right now. So like if you're like me and you're sitting here and you're yoga pants, it's a nice way. I remember too, the first time I really gained a lot of weight. I've had off and on, but like I really lost a lot of weight right before I met my now husband. And I was I felt really good about myself, my insides, outsides. Like I was really, really healthy. And then I started dating him and we went out eating more. I would just, it's that love is in the air and no care in the world. I kind of dropped some of my healthy habits. And I didn't even realize it, but I probably gained 20, 30 pounds in like 6 months, possibly less. And it's just because it was the summer, I was wearing summer dresses and I was having a good time. And so for me personally, it's just helping me stay accountable so I don't lose sight of my healthy lifestyle. Now, that's, like I said, it's only one tool. There's a lot of tools you can use. There's just so many, there's so many tools you can use. It's just being mindful of what you're eating. But like I said, in that time, I was just having a good time. But if I was on that scale, I was like, ooh, something's going on. Like I might have been able to catch myself sooner. Maybe not, who knows? But maybe I would have just beat myself up because I wasn't at the greatest place mentally for like body image at that moment yet. I was working on it, but I was, come a long way. Anyway, so because I was still having different diets and stuff back then, didn't know enough about things. Anyways, use that scale as a tool, not to beat yourself up, not a measuring stick of how amazing you are, just a tool of how much your physical body weighs. And that's it. That's it. Period. I hope you have a great, great day. Sending you so much love. And if you're not ready to, make peace with that scale, I highly recommend, tucking it away, donating it, whatever you feel comfortable. Like this isn't me saying you need a scale. This is just my journey with the scale because it's been up and down. And I just, if you're struggling, I'm here for you because I've been there and I still have days where I just, I still have days where I'm like, aha, what's going on? Anyways, so thanks again for being here. Take care. Bye for now.